Okay, hey all, I'm just gonna make this short and sweet. This is your weekly updates, and I want to keep it short because I know you guys have plenty to do. I know that you just have 2 weeks to go. Hang in there with me. These last 2 weeks are a push, and it is like this last couple miles of a marathon because some of this information is hefty because we're getting into the heart of the nervous system. So I've tried to create some resources for you that will hopefully kind of ease your studying a little bit. So let's start with the brain, which is what you're going to start with for lecture this week. So if you look here for the brain, you can download, so there's all of the PowerPoint lectures that you can see there, or you can choose whether or not you do it as a PowerPoint file or a PDF, whatever is easiest for you to load onto your computer. And then I would say watch the lectures side by side with a PowerPoint and go through it, but you can also print off these lecture notes or download these lecture notes. What I did was I created a condensed version for my 8-week course a while ago of all of the information in all of the brain lectures. So because the brain is just, I felt like it was so daunting, it needed to be put into one document. So this is all of the information with less of the fluff in here, and also hopefully nice and organized for you. So that way then as you're going through this, it kind of starts with the 4 parts of the brain. And then it'll start like part 1 of the brain, the cerebrum, okay? And then it's gonna go to diencephalon, and then as it goes to the diencephalon, it'll go through the thalamus, hypothalamus, and epithalamus. So it's kind of nice, and I just organized this a little bit better so that way then it will be nice and neat and kind of organized for you as you're going through this. So hopefully you'll find this useful. Please give me some feedback on if you thought it was useful, or if you want to like take that document and you can kind of make your own version of it. So you can copy and paste or whatever you like to do with this, or cut information that you're like, oh, I don't really need that because I know that already. So this document is yours to do with whatever you'd like with it, but hopefully it will help to make the brain lectures a little bit less daunting, because there is a lot of information in those PowerPoints and I just felt like it was really overwhelming. So hopefully that will help out. Please don't forget to take the brain quiz on February 29th. I know it's fast and furious. So there's kind of the beginning of the week. The beginning. The next lecture that you're going to be doing is the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is not that challenging. It's pretty easy. Most of you probably know the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic, a little bit about it, and you probably have heard fight or flight for sympathetic. So it goes into a little more detail than that, but you can go ahead and watch that here, and then that quiz is going to be March 2nd. So that's going to be the second part. So kind of the brain, hefty, little easier with the autonomic nervous system. Then you're going to jump into the sensory motor and integrative. That is a heftier lecture again. You're going to be getting more into the spinal cord. This is really helpful if you watch this lecture before you actually do the spinal cord lab, because it's going to go through the parts that you're going to need to know. So that will be really helpful. And then I also have a cranial nerve study sheet here. Hopefully that should help you out in terms of those cranial nerves. So again, that's kind of that information for this week. And the sensory motor integrative, if you could get through that this weekend, I mean, I know that's a push. I know that's asking a lot. But it would just give you a little more time to study this weekend. So this is where you really just have to kind of bear down and kind of push through this last. It would be nice if all you had to do was special senses next week and then take the exams. I'm sorry, not next week, the week after. I don't want to scare you all. Not next week. No exams next week, just quizzes. And then you can look at this lecture exam review sheet. I always suggest it's kind of a nice thing to look at this before you go through all of those lectures. So that's all we have left. That's it for the lecture for exam. That's it for the material. Now let's go ahead and real quick hit the lab. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up lab info for you. I know I'm trying to go quick here for you. So for lab this week, you're going to start with nervous tissue. Nervous tissue should be fairly easy because you've been through some of the nervous tissue, especially in lecture. So you're just going to be identifying things on a multipolar neuron. You're going to be kind of reviewing that neuromuscular junction and the synapse. And then there's just 2 actual histology slides that you have to know. So not too bad. Again, if you have questions about this content, let me know, but this shouldn't take you too long to get through. So the next bit of information, I'm going to have you skip over spinal cord for this week. Because you're going to be doing nerves, nervous tissue, nerves, and then the brain models this week, okay? And then you can, again, if you're getting towards the end of the week, if you're getting into the sensory motor integrative, I suggest you do that over the weekend. So sensory motor integrative lecture over the weekend, and then get into the spinal cord models. That lecture will really go hand in hand with the lab and will really help you to kind of solidify the information for both. So do that together. Same with the brain. Make sure that you do the brain lecture, and then do the brain models, because again, that just gives you that information. It helps solidify what you're learning in lab. For the nerves, there's not too many nerves that you have to know. So what you're going to do, the first thing you're going to do is print this what you need to know sheet, okay? In terms of the nerves. It's going to tell you exactly what you need to do. This froze nerve chart I'm going to show you is, let me move this out of the way here. Sorry, let me move this if I can drag this out of the way. This is this nerve chart, okay? So the information that you have here is what you have to know on the froze nerve chart there, okay? So here you're going to go through, that's all you have to know from, those are the terms that you have to know from that nerve chart. And you're going to see they're all labeled for you, which is kind of nice. It's actually a little bit nicer than when we do it in lab, because you have to find them and it's kind of challenging. So it's actually kind of nicer. You can zoom in and see all those nerves there. So hopefully that'll really help. Oops, that was in the album. So then we have the rack of ribs. You don't have to know, again, too much for that rack of, and let me pull up this chart here. So again, the rack of ribs model, you don't have to know too much. So you're just learning some of the nerve plexuses. And a couple of things that are pretty easy. Once you do the spinal cord, conus medullaris, cauda equina, those are going to be pretty easy, pons. So you may save some of this for like the rack of ribs model. You may save some of that for actually when you've done the sensory motor integrative. Here, the nerve model. Again, a lot of this is just memorization, but again, think about the axillary nerve is going to be in the axillary region, the ulnar nerve in the ulnar region, radial nerve. So again, some of those are going to make sense for you. So again, you can start to kind of really get those down. And these are the labeled images that you need to know. So it's this one's not too crazy. Dr. Borst does have some great videos to introduce you to these. So I recommend, if you haven't been through the nerves before, to go ahead and watch his videos on the model and the slides. Okay, so then let's get on to, let's get back to the brain. Okay, so nervous tissue, nerves, then I'd move on to the brain and then come back to do the spinal cord again, because it'll follow lecture a little bit better. So you can see that there are quite a few brain models here. And then we have the ventricle models. You'll learn about the ventricles are going to be where you're going to make your cerebral spinal fluid. And then you'll also, that's how that cerebral spinal fluid will move kind of throughout the center of the brain and then eventually into the spinal cord. Into the down into the spinal region. So you guys will get that, and through the middle of the spinal cord. So you guys will get all of that in lecture. But like I said, make sure that you watch lecture first before you get into this. It will really help you tremendously. And then you'll see there is, again, a great video explanation. Dr. Boris had put this together a while ago during the pandemic, and we just used them because he did such a great job. And then you can go through these labeled images here. Again, you're gonna have this great sheet. That's what you need to know. So download that sheet, and it's gonna tell you exactly what you're gonna need to know for the brain. You'll see there's a lot of structures for the brain. And just like the lecture, it's really helpful if you know these structures for lab, and then it will help you out also with lecture. So again, they go kind of hand in hand. So as you go through that, there is a video down here. We do have some of the 3D models. So check those out because those are super helpful. We have a study-made exercises. We do have a brain dissection video. If you were in the lab, you would actually do the brain dissection. I know that it's very hard to watch the brain dissection video and really get a good idea what you're looking at. So the dissection, both the sheep brain dissection and the sheep eye dissection, those will be extra credit questions. We won't have questions on the practical other than extra credit questions. So still watch the dissection, but don't stress out about it too much, okay? So hopefully that will help you out. And just to give you a heads up, you know, the brain obviously is going to be a heftier portion of the practical, along with the spinal cord. So in terms of your time, make sure that you dedicate a good chunk of time to the brain, a good chunk of time to the spinal cord. And then there are a couple different models for special senses, but that's next week. Okay, so if you have any questions, please feel free to catch up with me. I tried to keep this short and sweet, but I know that the nervous system is a lot. This is a good time to hit each other up, hit me up. I'm gonna go ahead and send out, along with this video, a couple short video clips that hopefully will kind of help introduce you to some of these nervous system concepts. And please share things on the discussion board on the muddiest points. This is a time where it's really beneficial if we can share, okay? You guys are in an 8-week class and you're in this together, and if you can help each other get through these last 2 weeks, then everybody benefits. So share any resources that you have that you might be using to study. If you have Kahoots, if you have diagrams, anything like that is really beneficial for everyone. And again, I shared my short. I keep a printout of it every semester when we go through the brain, and that way then I just look through this. There's my kind of cheat sheet notes for the brain, so hopefully that will help you out. All right, everyone. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns, and if your grade is on the kind of like borderline right now, I'll probably be reaching out to you this week in terms of your grades. Other than that, you're welcome to set up a time with me via Google Meet or Zoom or whatever works for you. All right. Happy studying, everyone.